What's going on, everybody? This is your boy Corbs, aka Mr. 10 out of 10, and I am here with a special guest, Ren Marabou and the Berserkers. How you guys going?
Yeah, going great, buddy. You?
Yeah. Can't complain.
Happy days.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, we've been trying to hook it up for a while, man. The time difference is crazy.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah.
No, it's my pleasure. So, all right. Where I want to start is the beginning. I think everyone should start with the beginning. So, what was your inspiration for music? Like both you guys. Where did you guys start your love for music?
Yeah, I think Ryan should start first.
I'll go first then. Well, you see, it started off with Kurt Cobain for me. My dad got me into music at a much earlier age than Kurt came about. All the greats. My dad, it still is. He's brilliant when it comes to just looking at the records on the wall, even the Beatles and stuff behind you, dude. I have it on the wall here behind the laptop here, Abbey Road. But my dad would have gotten me into all the greats, Elvis, the Beatles, obviously, Bruce Springsteen, all them proper songwriters. But then as I got a little bit more angsty as a teen, Kurt Cobain came along. And then I was like, oh my God, this guy, he's just an animal. He has like this raw energy about him. But then soon after he went, then I discovered Daniel Johns from Australia. And that dude just blew my mind. I could not believe. I was like, fuck this dude. So ever since, he was the guy that really brought the musical, the writing, the stage stuff. And, then I moved on, branched out into like hardcore metal, every other genre there. But that would have been the synopsis, say, of the early days before I started getting into, the Viking stuff that I'm into now. So that's the short version. What about you,
that's a very short version. That's really truncated. He could spend hours talking about this stuff. Myself, it's very similar. Very similar to Ren. I've got a lot of different tastes. As a kid, all my uncles and aunts listened a lot to Johnny Cash and guys like that. And one of my best friends actually is a Cash tribute artist here in Ireland, and he's doing very well with that. But Johnny Cash. I grew up near Derry, so there was a big punk influence on me too. So we talk about like Moondogs, the Undertones, Clash, Sex Pistols, obviously, and I kind of was into punk before my big sister got me into Black Sabbath. My sister had an awesome record collection, and as the punk thing waned, my big sister just slowly got me into Sabbath, also Rory Gallagher, and then the metal thing just kind of happened naturally after that. So, but I listened to a lot of different things. I listened to classical music, I listened to Opeth, Mastodon, Australia's Circles I like a lot as well. But yeah, I listened to a lot of stuff. And when I met Ren last year and started following him on Facebook, I thought it was quite interesting what he was doing. And his progression in the last year since COVID hit has been extraordinary, I think. And the stuff he's writing now, I think is actually the best stuff that he's written.
Nice.
It is catchy as hell. It's catchy, feel-good stuff. We had a rehearsal last night, and I was laughing behind the kid. I was playing the drums, and I was laughing. And that's what music's supposed to do. And I'm very lucky to be here at the minute with Ren. So
nice, dude.
Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, that's me.
Happy days.
It's funny. And like I've always thought this, and because my dad, he got me into Black Sabbath and Guns N' Roses. Those are the first two bands, and till this day, I'm 27. Till this day, in my opinion, the best two bands. The two greatest bands of all time, Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. But
that's nice, man.
Yeah.
No doubt, man.
You can't go wrong there.
No. 100%.
Yeah, so two best bands in my opinion. All right, so the next question. What inspired the Viking? I guess that's you. The Viking. Are you actually descendants of Vikings, or is that just...
Yeah, well, it's been a long time coming. I've always had an affinity and a connection, and Funny, only this year we did say, right, we'll go and we'll do the genealogy testing. We'll go back and see what the real deal is there. And there is quite a lot of Viking and Norse in my blood, through my mother's side and my father's side, which is crazy. And another big part of it was out here in Donegal, which is where I'm living now, but I'm originally from Dublin. So I've kind of found my real roots out here. But then it was my faith really that really brought all this on. I just had an affinity to the faith, and I just and then of course metal goes so well with it. So it's like it's the perfect matchup for me, you know. But it was a long time where I wanted to move into that, and I didn't really want to drag other musicians that I was playing with at the time. But I was in a band called Paralysis when I met Terence, and the boys didn't know. I'm sure they know now because I've said it in the interviews. But I sneakily stuck in behind the logo, like Odin's horns, in behind it. They didn't even know, but I was infiltrating that into it. But during COVID at the start, I was still with them, and I started writing solo stuff, and then just as the gap was bigger and bigger from COVID, because I'm 4 hours away from where the band were, so I couldn't get down to rehearsals. And then just as time grew, the boys were doing their thing and we were doing our thing, and this was growing here. And I think it was last December I started writing 2 albums. One was like I say grunge almost, progressive grunge stuff, and a Viking album. I just started writing the two of them simultaneously just for the crack. And then I released one, and Ultra Mega it was called. And I wasn't really that bothered, never really pushed it. And then I released Wayfinder, and that was in January last year or this year. And that's where everything changed. I finally was like, do you know what? This is it. This is what I'm going to do. So 3 albums. We're on the 4th album later of Viking stuff. So I can see that being the future of what we're doing.
Yeah, for 4 albums in a year. I mean, the guy's a workhorse.
Yeah.
He doesn't eat, he doesn't sleep. He just buys guitars and writes music. That's all he does.
Wow.
I get it.
You know, I recently finished the game God of War. You know the video game
nice.
God of War,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
that's so immersive in Viking mythology. And
yeah,
so I was you guys made me think about that.
yeah,
Cool.
awesome.
So when it comes to music influences, was it just metal for you two? As in, like, was it just rock, or did you guys like other genres, hip hop, soul?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I mean, you have a lot of deep roots in all other genres, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, like parents, uncles, and aunts over here. You know, you cannot grow up without country, Irish country, American country, bluegrass. Johnny Cash is huge over here still. Punk was a big influence, and then sort of classic rock. I was into German heavy metal for a long time. I still love Accept. I love the early Accept stuff, Restless and Wild, Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, sort of the 80s stuff. But I also, as a kid, I used to listen to I think it was BBC Radio 4 on a Saturday night, and they used to play Rachmaninoff, Prokofiev, Beethoven, and I still listen to classical music a lot. I find it very inspiring. There's a lot of classical music that I still haven't heard, but I know there's some stuff out there. It does inspire me. I love the layering in symphonies that build and ebb and flow. And I love that about Ren's music too. There's builds and ebbs and flow, and there's a lot of emotion in that too. And lyrically, Ren's hitting an emotional chord with me, because the Norse mythology and the Viking stuff is always stories. And I've always loved music about stories. And that's where bands like Opeth and Mastodon appeal to me. I love the stories. Prog rock as well is a big influence in me. Again, because prog, they tell stories. Pineapple Thief and Porcupine Tree, bands like that. There's a lot of great prog coming out of Australia at the minute too. I haven't had a great deal of time to listen to it, but but there's a lot of interesting bands coming out. So yeah, a lot of different influences.
Yeah.
I'm just showing you me here, don't mind me. Yeah, but yeah, I mean that's incredible. I have a similar, very similar music taste in the metal stuff, and even like it's funny you mentioned Johnny Cash. He would have been one of the early days stuff my dad would have got me into, and Neil Young. You know, they were big influences on the songwriting aspect. But yeah, I mean, I look at the wall here behind me, and I have Kurt Cobain that we mentioned, the Beatles, and Richie Kotzen. He has been hands down the most influential guitar hero of mine of all time, and his music style is nothing like mine. But I just take a lot of inspiration from him. I got the chance to meet him in Berlin one time, and it was like meeting Odin for me. It was like this is God right here, and but that was amazing. So that's probably the one for me there. But as of late, like bands like Tear, obviously Amon Amarth and Managram and all the wicked Viking metal bands has just been saturating my mind with them, you know. Yeah. So
are you guys into folk music?
yeah, I do have quite again an affinity towards folk music. It's funny because I played in all different bands over the years, different genres and different styles, but I always went back to the drop D and riffing and stuff like that. But you can hear in some of the tracks there is that folk element. There's the Wanderer, for instance.
Yeah.
From Valhalla Waits. It was that banjo, mandolin, acoustic guitar influence that brought that song to life, really. And then I had to, of course, throw in the sludgy riffs.
But it's funny if you listen to Ren, if you listen to Ren's songs, most of the songs there's a point in nearly every song where I can imagine ukulele pipes or a harp or a fiddle or something. There's always a little kind of movement going on in the song that where you want to hear something really organic, like a fiddle or something. And that's lovely, you know.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
He just needs to buy more instruments.
Yeah, I mean, we will eventually hire an entire orchestra at one stage of our lives. So we'll be doing we'll have like the full trad band on stage with us as well. You know.
I can tell you now, like I am the biggest, like, how do I word this? Like I am such, like, because I love folk music, but yeah. I love the traditional, like the most traditional style of folk. Richard Dawson, Joanna Newsom, like Leonard Cohen. Like I love the real authentic folk, and whenever I hear like Ed Sheeran, it just makes me mad. Like the mainstream folk. Like like there's
a guy you'll have heard of, Richard Thompson. I've been listening to Richard Thompson for years. He started a Fairport convention with his wife Linda back in the late 60s, I think, and they, for me, were the greatest English folk band. And he's continued that strain through his career, through a slightly 80s pop kind of phase to a more 90s rock phase, and now he's gone back to the folk thing again. But people like Richard Thompson inspire, yeah, definitely, because he's been doing this for 60 years and he's still going, you know.
I do love folk music. All right, so how early into either your guys' career did you realize, all right, I want to be a rock star, I want to be a musician, nothing else?
Yeah, well, for me it was straight away. I think I was about 15 and I was all about soccer. I wanted to be a soccer player, and one day I saw, I think it was Gavin Rosdale, I think, from Bush. He was playing some show and he was on his back and his legs were in the air and the guitar was all twisted up on stage. And I was like, what is that? Can you do that on stage? Is that what people do? And he was just like, you know, in full flow of it. And I said, I need a guitar. So the next day I got my guitar my dad was kind enough to buy me one. It was like it's not in here. It's a nylon string, which is a terrible thing to start playing guitar. But I literally picked that up and I kicked my football away, and that was it. Never looked back. It was music all the way. What about you?
For me, I I drove my parents mad. When I was a kid, I grabbed anything that resembled a drumstick. Knitting needles, toilet brushes, rulers from school.
Yeah.
I used to beat the crap out of my parents' furniture, and I did it for so long that my dad eventually bought me a kit when I was 10. So um, I didn't always want to be a rock star, but I always wanted to play the drums. And it doesn't matter where I am, my teeth are always chattering. I'm playing the drums with my teeth all the time. It's a miracle they haven't fallen out by now. But yeah, my dad bought me a kit when I was very young, and I played quite a lot when I was a teenager. I didn't play for a long time too, but that's because I ended up in Australia for 12 years. And when I came back to Ireland, it kind of naturally I was living in Sydney for 12 years, and when I came back to Ireland, and the pace slowed down a little bit, the music came back in, and the drum kit was still in my dad's attic. So I got the kit out again and started playing. And I've been playing in a few local bands in the last few years. But I met Ryan last year and started following him, and we hooked up about five or 6 months ago. And we actually shot a video before we jammed together.
Yeah.
So we did things arse about face. It was the wrong way around.
Yeah, just straight into it. I was like, boys, yeah, I know we haven't practiced yet, but let's shoot a video out in a ruined place out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
All right.
So like, music's always been in my life. Bands haven't always been in my life, but the drum kit's always been there in my dad's attic. And
yeah,
it's the drumming has always been part of me, you know.
And it's a sick vintage 70s kit.
Yeah,
right?
it's my dad bought me this is a long time ago. It's a early 70s kit with a 1971 Premier snare. I think Keith Moon used the same snare. And Billy Doherty from the Undertones. Go Derry. But yeah, it's vintage kits. A lot of the young guys that play it at gigs don't realize what they're playing. It's a lovely little quiet beast.
Yeah. Actually, you say that we met. It was for an Australian charity night for the fires, right?
Yeah,
that's where we met. Yeah.
I met. This was last February. The fires of 2020 last year, the really bad ones. My wife's mother was evacuated from her house, and my wife's from New South Wales. My wife's from Young, and we just had this idea, like, let's do a charity gig for the bushfires, and we called it Funder for Down Under. And Ren was there with his lovely Kathleen.
Yeah,
and I met him that night, and
that's where I scoped him out. I saw him playing. I was like, oh, he's sick.
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't even got a solo project in mind, but when I saw him play, I said to you afterwards, I want to start a solo project. Are you in on it? You know, it just kind of spawned it there, you know.
So and a year later, we got, when the COVID restrictions relaxed a bit, we actually got together and
made a music video out in Old Castles, Donegal Mountains.
Yeah, and the last 5 months has been fantastic.
Yeah,
you know? It's been great.
Good stuff.
Nice. Nah, that's really cool to hear. I love the passion in you guys. So let's scroll down all the way to the album Sagas.
All right. Yeah,
so I was very excited because when I saw the album release posted on the group chat or wherever I saw it.
Yes.
I saw the album cover and I was like, oh shit, this is a Viking project. Like, it got me excited. So tell me, so break it down for me. What was the process? What was the inspiration? Where did Sagas come from?
Right. Well, for me, I pretty much took inspiration from, there's you could say the Bible, if you will, of the Norse mythology. There's it's split into two books, the Old and the New. It's the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda. And essentially, I wanted to write every song referring, or like an elaborate version of these stories, because there's very little information still, because, you know, it got burnt in whatever we won't get into the specifics of the old war days between the Catholics and the pagans, but things got destroyed and got lost. So the book we have, it's over there. I keep looking over at it because I'm looking at it for. Can I speak about you? But yeah, the Poetic Edda is such a dear book to me, and it basically is all the teachings. So I said to myself, what better way to pay homage is to write an album dedicated to it. So all the songs are pretty much just based off those stories and sagas, if you will.
Nice. When I was doing the review for that album, I had to Google so much Norse stuff. Like, I had no idea anything. I was like Googling words. Yeah, that was that was a fun review.
Yeah, it was amazing. The job you did was fantastic. It was like, I wanted to turn that into a story. Like, I was like, how do we make this a bit of merchandise to go with the album? Yeah. I was like, this is incredible. So awesome.
Yeah. Well, it was such a good album. I wanted to do something special for it. I was like, what can I do? And then I realized my limited knowledge of Norse mythology is just from Marvel. So I was like, all right.
Well, that's a good base to start with, man. Well, if it wasn't for Marvel, probably the rest of us wouldn't know about it either. They would have brought it back into the forefront and the mainstream.
Yeah, so great album. So now it's been a few months since that album, or a short period since.
Yeah.
What are your music goals for the future? What's coming next? If you can elaborate.
Yeah, we have so much going on. It's just crazy. I think at the moment we haven't even told anybody. This isn't like an exclusive, but we have started the next album, and the next single was just finished yesterday. So we have big plans to release that, and Sean from United Music Mafia is giving us a big dig out and help with that as well. And like your good friends Eric Misanthropic Records has been such a solid geezer in our corner for the last year and a half, and now Sean and United Music Mafia are really giving us some nice what would you say, input?
Input and support and coverage,
Yeah, so we're going to release this single, I think the 4th of December. Yeah. So I think you might like this one. It's about Fenrir. You've probably heard of Loki from Marvel, right? So the whole story of Loki is Loki has 3 children, and I spoke about 2 of them in the last album, Jormungandr, the serpent, and Hel, the Hel, goddess of the underworld. So now this one, I was like, right, we'll have to have a little story tale about Fenrir. So Fenrir is the giant wolf that's supposed to bring on the underworld in Ragnarok. So this whole song, it was a 5-minute, it started off as a 4-minute song. And 3 days ago, my computer decided to erase everything. The entire track, man, I could not believe it. And I felt it was like the best work. And all of a sudden, the computer just said error. The computer shut down, and even though I had it backed up and backed up and backed up, it just was corrupted. I don't know what happened, right? So I'll never use that DAW again. We won't speak of it ever again. So I spent the last few days grabbing pieces that I had still in different files and glued it back together and re-recorded parts. And now we went from a 3-minute song to a 5-minute song. So, I think it was all for a reason. It's become a little bit.
Yeah, Ren gave me a preview last night before rehearsal, and it's awesome. Yeah, I think after The Wanderer, it could be my favorite Marabou song.
Sweet. Yeah.
Sorry, this thought just came into my head now. Like, this wasn't even part of my notes. This is an organic thought I had right now. But right. Is there any chance you guys are Cradle of Filth fans?
I would have had a little bit back in the day, not so much But I've definitely listened to them over the years. But
Well, I just thought because I reckon this would be a perfect like way, like a perfect song, a song structure for you guys. Because there's a song by them made in 2008 called "Honey and Sulfur," and it like in the song, he uses backup vocals like how do I explain it? Like he like after every few lines, there's like a choir, like a loud like choir, like repeating the words. So
Yeah.
he says the words, the choir says words, and then it's like this
Oh.
organic, this really theatrical thing. And I was
Love
thinking
it.
you should so get someone like a real heavy male orchestra guy to like pretend to be Odin or something, and like he'll have his words
Yeah.
yelling through the song, or like I don't know.
Yeah.
I really be sick.
I don't know if you
I did.
don't know if you noticed, but I just handed Terence a piece, a notepad, and he picked up a pen.
Oh yeah.
And we have it written down. We're gonna give that a go.
We love the old notebooks in here.
Mhm.
I reckon that'll be fun.
Yeah, thanks.
Great
man.
idea.
Actually, after this interview, I'll send you guys the song I'm referring to, and you can see what I mean. Like, it's real
Yeah,
theatrical.
yeah.
It's really sick.
Awesome. Sounds
Nice.
good.
Yeah. Okay. So the final question I have, and this is always the most fun for me because it always throws everyone off, which I think is fun. Like, this is a big curveball question, and it excites me because you see, seeing the artist's reaction when I ask this question, they're always like, but all right. So, in your opinion, what is the most overrated and underrated album of all time?
Oh, that's a funny
Overrated.
question. I like that.
Overrated.
Overrated. Oh my god. What do you think? You're good at this.
I'm going to upset people here, but yeah, Black Album, Metallica.
Oh.
For me, that was the death of that band. I saw Ride the Lightning, Puppets, and Justice were great albums. It's been a downhill trajectory all since
Yeah.
for me.
We could really stir the shit there and say that Some Kind of Monster is underrated.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, right. That makes, yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think.
We've made a lot of Metallica fans angry there. I think Sagas is underrated. Nah, I'm only messing.
I agree.
Thank you, man. I'm only messing.
Underrated. I can't think.
I think anything by Richie Kotzen is underrated anyway. That man
Yeah.
is a gift to music, and people just, I don't know, he seems to go under everybody's radar. Like, he's up there as one of the best guitar players of all time, but he doesn't get the recognition like he should.
I can't name an underrated album, but an underrated band for me since the Big Four kind of kicked off is I've got to shout out Flotsam and Jetsam for me. They still have the energy. Eric AK still has his voice. They're still intense. They're a great band. Yeah.
Yep. You know the band, you're familiar with the band Artificial Hatred, right?
Artificial Hatred.
They're from Misanthropic, or they used to be. I don't know if they are now.
Yeah,
John
what's the name
Barrett.
again?
John
John
Barrett.
Ferris. Yeah.
Yeah. He
I do know them. Sorry, yes, I do, of course.
yeah, I interviewed them ages ago. And when I asked them the same question I asked you just now, he said for the most overrated album, the Black Album.
No way. Yeah. There we go.
So I'm not alone.
Yeah. Happy days. Well, there you go. Did we get 10 points for that one then?
Yeah.
You know, the one thing I always say, and like to me, I feel this is truly a underrated opinion. Like to me, this is an underrated album, and it's for me to say this, it almost feels like I'm waiting around the corner for someone to throw a spear at me. Like, but I truly believe that Metallica's album Death Magnetic. I actually really enjoy that album. I think it's I don't know, it's a guilty pleasure album. Like I like it. I like All Nightmare Long, Unforgiven Part 3, Cyanide.
Yeah. When it came out, everybody was like, "Oh," it was like a relief moment. It's like, okay, they're back. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I think just after that came out, they were played in Marley Park in Dublin, and I went to see them, and it was absolutely phenomenal. It was so nice to see them back doing what they do. And since then, I've seen them every time they played over here, because I'm just like, yeah, they have it again. Like, happy days.
Nice. So the last question I'll ask is, because of your Vikingness, your Viking heritage.
That's the best way to put it.
And this would be the best question to ask for someone like you. Do you think personally that a band like Amen Amarith is too overrated? Do you reckon they're too much of a, like, would you say they're the mainstream equivalent of Viking metal, or do you think they're rightfully placed?
A bit of both. I mean, I think they do deserve what they've been given, but there's so many bands that don't get a look in because straight away people just associate, right, they're Viking metal and that's all it is. If you don't sound like them, you don't get any look in. Let's say, for me, Tyr they're the band that should be up the top of that, but Amon Amarth I love anybody that paves a way for people in life, and they've definitely paved the way. They might not have started the path, but they gave it. They took a Milner or Thor's hammer and just carved the rest of the way for us, So, yeah, my answer is on the fence on that one. It's a little bit of both, I think. But they're big dudes, so I wouldn't want to piss them off either. Yeah, I'm fans. Yeah. Skull. I'm on a march.
Nice. Well, look, this has been fun. I've asked all the questions I want to ask. We had a good time, and so I can't wait for the new single. And obviously, because I love the album Sagas, I'm going to be following you guys.
Awesome.
Till the end. And so I'll be posting this real soon once it's uploaded. And thank you so much for your time. I know it's nighttime there.
It is. But listen, man, speaking of posting, I've just posted you out a mask. I don't have an example one here, but I'm meant to post you out a mask, a Marabou mask. So
yeah.
Oh,
hopefully that'll get to you soon.
Sorry about that. That is a badass mask.
Thanks, man.
Oh, I love it. As soon as I saw the design, I had to message you. I was like, I need one of these.
They're so cool.
Yeah, sweet, man. We'll send them your way, man.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much for your guys' time, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks so much, brother.
Thanks for having me.
You too.
Yeah.